after becoming chartered accountants. And for this program, we've got overwhelming response. So, if there are a lot of people standing behind, okay, you all have you all have two options: either stand over there and attend it live, or else, if there's an overflow, even beyond this, you all can wait and sit on in the entrance on the outside hall in the lobby. So we have two options for that. So because of space constraints, there could be some challenges as far as accommodating all our young friends and professionals over here are concerned. Now, remember, try and remember that moment when you put your roll number and hit the button, and after 2 seconds, your life changed completely. How was that feeling? How did you feel? Great. Somebody says fantastic. Somebody says excellent. Yeah. So friends, let me tell you, that's just the beginning. Okay, so that's just the beginning. You have an illustrious career in front of you, and that's where BCS wants to add value to your lives. For this, may I request the president of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, CA Mihir Sheth, to please address the gathering. Please give a big round of applause.
Good evening and hi. First of all, let me clarify that the arrangement that you see here is not symbolic to life. There are some people who are standing. There are some people who are sitting comfortably. That's not going to be the case henceforth in your career. Everybody will have to be really standing up and gearing up for the challenge. But before that, before I say anything, let me congratulate you all. This is one of the most momentous occasion in your life. Trust me, 40 years later, if you have to look back on your life, and if somebody asks you, what was it that really made you elated on the top of the world? It's not the marriage. It's not your first child, right? It's not your first boyfriend or a girlfriend. The first thing that will come into your mind is that, oh, I clicked that button. I saw that and I was on the top of the world. And these exams are like that. They are the toughest exams by any standard, and I'm not saying that. There are stalwarts globally, nationally. You come across them and they all say that Indian Chartered Accountancy exams test you on all three counts: your analytical skills, your memory, and your reproduction skills. And this is something which is very unique. As you grow, you will realize that there are certain skills where you have to make up for that lack of that, which is for the communication, which is for the way you represent yourself. But if you are serious about this, you will get that. And as you will grow, today you must be feeling all very happy. But the challenge is from now, because this will have to start from a moment of reckoning where you want to go. And when you make that decision, take it as a considered decision, put it on a matrix. What is it that you are really looking for? And in that, money should be your very low down priority. So decide what you really want to become, because whether you want to, it will start like whether you want to join an industry or whether you want to join Big Four, which is another industry, or you want to be in your independent practice. Any choice that you have made, you look at it, where can it lead you 5 years hence? And what are the skill sets or the deficit of skill sets that you will have to really acquire? And you have to start working from there right now. After a few years, there will come a moment when you will feel that, oh, maybe whether you made a right choice. In the hindsight, things look different. But if you are convinced about it, and that's why you need to really do the deep diving, think about it, and then really go with a focused mind. Before I conclude, there are three things that you really have to be very sure of. First, what should be your priorities? Your priorities should be, at this stage, knowledge. How do you gain this knowledge? You have the basic knowledge, but knowledge which you get from networking. And this is the platform like BCS, where it can give you a lot of input of knowledge, because you will be networking with some of the best. There are people who charge who charge their clients 150,000, 100,000 rupees an hour. They come here for free. They are accessible to you. People are very helpful. Trust me on this, especially all those senior people associated with BCS. Make them friends. Allow them to be mentoring you, and you will get so much of knowledge. So that's the first part. Meeting people, making friends. That's how you will get knowledge. Second, travel. Whatever opportunity you get for your work, for your leisure, travel, because travel will make you so mature. You will be meeting different kind of people, and that will give you a perception of how different people think differently. And you will attain a certain level of maturity in your communications. Third is, read as much as possible. Don't read only about accountancy, audit, tax. Leave it as a last priority, because whatever you do, you will never be up to date. But there are topics like management books, certain fictions, technology books, which are written like a novel, but it will give you a lot of insight. So these are the three areas which will enhance your knowledge and also your confidence, and also your, I would say they will give you an upscalability to go further in life. Second is, after the knowledge comes money. Yes, money is important, but don't think of changing your jobs for 1,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, because that's not what is really going to be. Look, person who pays you certainly more is desperate, and desperate people don't really move further in life. So don't get your confidence and your self-esteem be compromised by those few thousands of rupees. Next is status. Look for a job which gives you status, where you all read this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where ultimately from the basic biological, physiological need, you want to progress towards your ultimate spiritual needs. But in between, you will come across where people depend on you. People give you that respect. So you have to try to reach that stage where it gives you a status, where people depend, where people really look upon you with respect and ask you, your opinion counts, right? So knowledge, money, status, all this is a process which will go on for life. But once you are settled, take a vow that you will pay back to the society in some way or the other. It could be a social work. It could be back to your profession, like what we all do. People like, volunteers here in BCS, this is all what they do. I mean, we have been spending sometimes 16 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours at our work, the rest of the hours with BCS, to see that people really get benefit of the knowledge pool that this great institution has built up. What does BCS do? BCS conducts seminars, workshops, all conducted by people who are complete volunteers. They don't get paid anything. In fact, they are very highly paid otherwise, but they come here and they're given as service. Number two, BCS makes representation to the government. And those representations, once you read them, once you are through it, you will realize what a professional work it is, which is appreciated all across by the government, by the bureaucrats, and those who the power be in. The next thing is, people are available for networking. So meets like this, you will be able to interact with, whatever profession or whatever subject, domain or space you are in, whether it's tax, international tax, audit, management, top level people come here that will give you a platform. And in that process, you will be groomed to give back to the profession. And also we have a BCS Foundation, which does a lot of social work. We impart education to underprivileged. We give medical aid. And, in fact, this day before yesterday, I had been to a school to inaugurate one digital, classroom. And when you look at the enthusiasm of those young kids of 8-10 years with these new things, it is amazing. It gives you so much of, satisfaction. And that is what will carry you in life. I don't want to sermonize you, but I just thought that maybe you are at a tender age where if you can build this, structure on which you can really put your career further. So I wish you all a great future, and congratulations once again for all the success that you got. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would now like to call upon the Vice President, C.H. Chirag Doshi, to address this gathering.
Good evening, everybody. Great. So since, yes, you've entered the new stage of your life, and as Meerbhai mentioned, that a lot of things which you have to keep in mind, few tips from my side also when you enter this dignified world. Keep few things in mind. One is integrity, objectivity, and confidentiality. The data which you will come across as a professional, as a COP holder, or as a part of a corporate where you will now be a part of FNA team, M&A team, lot of things will be confidential. Keep your integrity standards at the highest level, because as a chartered accountant, you will be looked upon as differently than as an article student before. So integrity, objectivity, whatever you do with a fair sight. Do it with clear objective of trust which has been put upon the chartered accountants today. So objectivity is another thing I would like to take forward to you guys. Another one is confidentiality. As I said, many of you will be doing a listed company audit. Data will be shared to you before the results are out. Please maintain high standards of confidentiality as a chartered accountant. So that's on the ethics side. Obviously, you've read it in your books, but practically things are different. So look upon that. Another element very important for you guys is the social media. The way you use your social media now will be different because you are part of that allied group of chartered accountants today. And when you represent the community as a young, not only yourself or your company today. So you'll be representing a group, a chartered accountant as a whole. So whatever you guys put on the social media, you have to be sure what you guys put up. That will, help you to even grow, because yes, it's a use as a medium of marketing yourself. But yes, there are guidelines of institute which you need to know while you're doing social media. As further, whatever you're putting on social media will be looked differently from today. So there is another sea change in your life. Keep that in mind. Another two critical element when you move to your professional world. One, obviously, Meerbhai mentioned, what matters is your boss and the profile you choose, not the company. Yes, people look for tags, but end of the day, if your immediate senior at this stage, or the profile on which you work is not good enough, it will not give you a long jump. So keep that in mind while you are selecting your job, because that is another important element. People like to switch very fast and they think my salary is increasing. But at the same time, from an employer side, iteration is also kept in mind, how many times you switch your job and why. So keep that in mind. Another element I would say is have a mentor in your professional life. For selecting your job, don't go to somebody senior in your house, nothing that they don't have a knowledge or something, but go to somebody who is part of your professional area. So obviously, I know BCS, this committee has a mentoring program where senior mentors, the mentee get a chance to be with them for 45 minutes, and then obviously it is carried forward between you and the mentor. So that platform is also given by this committee. But that is one of the most important type. Even we today have mentors in our life. So anything on the professional side, social side, we do have mentors and everybody needs that. So have one, select one, take time in selecting, but select the right one. Another key element which Mihir Bhai also touched upon is, I would just iterate a small story which I came across. Was a small guy from a small town had a passion about music. And so he wanted to come in Mumbai. He came in Mumbai. What to do, how to get into the industry of music. So he went into various programs organized by the music associations, music gatherings, music different stuffs. And that's where this small boy met Mani Ratnam. And obviously he got his debut film named Rosa. And today we know him as A.R. Rahman. So he has written once the importance of networking in his profession. So that is another element. Networking is the key. Be part of the forum, whether you are big four, whether you are corporate, or whether you want to be in your practice. Networking or knowing people in your is very important as a youngster. So be part of it. Start networking from today. This is another big opportunity where you can interact with people who are not part of your firm so far. So interact and take the maximum out of this event where you've gathered. And that's what I would like to tell everybody. And congratulations to all of you for the new beginning of your professional life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President. He shared some really nice insights about now posting carefully on social media. So now people will suddenly come to you after the budget and say, "Sir, aapka kya opinion hai? Madam, aapka kya opinion hai?" So expect that. So be prepared to answer those kind of questions. Whatever you post will now get scrutinized. May I now request the chairman of this committee? BCS has multiple committees, and today's committee is the committee which has organized today's program is the seminar, Public Relations, and the Membership Development Committee. So the chairman over here is C. Narayan Pasari, sir, and may I request him to address this gathering?
Namaskar, friends. Namaskar, friends. President C.A. Mihir, Vice President C.A. Chirag, Office Bearer Treasurer Zubin, Past President C.A. Uday, our young speakers for the evening, C.A. Kinnari, C.A. Namita and C.A. Siddharth, my conveners, C.A. Preeti, Shri Mrinal, Shri Manmohan and Shri Kinjal, coordinators of this event, C.A. Rimple, Shri Samit and C.A. Vivek, other distinguished members of BCA, and of course, my dear achievers, the freshly minted chartered accountants. A good evening to all of you. On behalf of Seminar, Public Relations and Membership Development Committee of the BCA, I once again congratulate and welcome all of you to this event. Thank you for being present in such large numbers. This event is also being broadcast live on YouTube for those who are unable to attend the same. The youth, or Yuva Shakti, as we call it, brings a lot of vibrancy to all BCA's activities. Apart from the activities as mentioned by both the President and the VP, let me speak to you about some of the initiatives of my committee of BCS. The much sought after RRC, the Residential Refresher Course, is conducted by this committee. The 56th edition of the RRC will be held this month, between 23rd to 26th of February in Coimbatore. The RRC brings the best of the latest and relevant topics with eminent speakers for the various sessions spread over 4 days. The time-tested panel and group discussions format of the RRC is ideal for an intense participative learning facilitated by collective wisdom as the delivery mechanism. About 140 CM members across India will be attending this RRC physically. Second, each year BCA comes out with a premium and prize publication called the BCA Referencer, split into 6 subject-wise booklets. It's a ready reckoner for those 6 subjects. Last year was the 60th edition of this continuous publication. To mark this momentous occasion, we brought out a collective edition, a supplement tracing the history of the referencer over the past 6 decades. We have many youth members contributing to this referencer. As the social initiative mentioned by the President, this committee, along with BCA Foundation, also conducts a blood donation camp every year at the BCA office. Here too, our Yuva Shakti takes the lead. Last year, we ran the largest mentor-mentee program with 113 mentees from 42 towns and cities spread across 17 states, being guided by 56 mentors who collectively invested 175 hours in this program. Some of the mentees continue to be in touch with their mentors for guidance. Season 2 of this program is currently underway. I encourage you to give yourself the invaluable gift of being mentored in a one-to-one session of 60 plus minutes with a senior chartered accountant from our core group. Check more details with the BCA events team. The annual calendar and diary of the BCA, which is a big hit among members, is also part of this committee. Going forward, BCA would like to acknowledge and applaud you on your success. Clearing the exams is the first milestone for you and lots to be done after that. In the word of Mr. Mukesh Ambani, it is important to remember that there are no overnight successes. You will need to be dedicated, single-minded, and there is no substitute to hard work. To help you plan your future ahead, we have with us 3 youthful and engaging speakers. The topic this evening is Milestone 2.0, Career in International Tax, M&A, Startups, and more. The questions sent in by you have been shared with the speakers well in advance. I'm sure they will answer most of this during their respective talks. By the end of this evening, I'm confident you will feel much more sure of yourself and where you would want to see yourself 5 or 10 years from now. I understand your batch spent a greater part of the articleship period working from home and attending meetings online. Working and interacting in the real world is a skill that you will need to now hone. Dear friends, poised as you are to reach for the skies, we at BCA consider it our responsibility to equip the young budding CAs with the right set of skills and knowledge to achieve professional success and name. Come and join BCS to expand your networking opportunities. The 4-day workshop on public speaking and business presentation skills spread over 2 weekends is scheduled to start this Friday, followed by the 3-day 10th YRRC from 17th to 19th March 2023 at Novotel, Imagica. Do connect with the BCS events for registration details. Today we are happy to have 3 extremely articulate and vibrant speakers in Kinnari, Namita, and Siddharth. Since they are from the social media age, most of you must have seen their profiles. However, as per protocol of BCA, I call upon my convener, CA Manmohan, to do the honors. And before Manmohan comes, I will request the Vice President, Zubin, all my conveners, and all coordinators to come on the dais to have a photo ops, please. They have done enough work for this event. Some can stand here. Past President Uday Bhai also. Come. Manmohan, please.
Good evening, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and welcome you all to the CA Parivar. I am privileged to introduce today's all the 3 mentors and speakers which will give you immense benefit from their knowledge sharing. First, I will introduce Kinnari. Kinnari is a qualified chartered accountant and a certified public accountant from USA. She has over 18 years of experience working with the Big Four and other firms in the transaction advisory practice, especially financial due diligence. She was the director at Grant Thornton before heading the transaction advisory practice in Western India at Acquisory. Kinnari has worked on 1,000 plus transactions and served financial and strategic investors in both domestic and cross-border transactions. Her clients include large and medium-sized private equity firms, venture capital firms, family offices, and Indian corporates. She frequently presents and imparts training at various seminars, including the ones conducted by ICAI in the transaction advisory and forensic space. She is a member of Confederation of Indian Industry Women's Network as well. Kinnari has co-authored various thought leadership publications in the startup, real estate, and private equity space. Now, second mentor, Namita. Namita is a chartered accountant by qualification with over 11 years of post-qualification experience. She has advised over 100 Indian as well as global startups in the last 6 years and has earlier worked as CFO of tech startup. She also acts as a virtual CFO for startups and also an angel investor. As virtual CFO, she actively advises founders not just on financial and tax aspects, but also on business and strategy. She has been actively involved in serving startups in Web3, FinTech, Insurance Tech, EdTech, Pharma Tech, VCs, etc. Today's third mentor is Siddharth. He is a qualified chartered accountant, company secretary, and also has an advanced diploma in international taxation from Chartered Institute of Taxation, UK. He is a partner with TP Orswal and Associates LLP and has experience in international taxation, transfer pricing, transaction advisory, and implementation and valuations. He is also a managing committee member and convener of Bombay Chartered Accountants Society and is a regular contributor to the WIRC, BCA, Chamber of Tax Consultant, and IFA magazines. With this all, now before that, we will do the pleasant task of giving mementos to the speakers of the day. I call upon Chirag Doshi to give memento to Kinnari. Call upon Uday Sathe to give memento to Siddharth. And call upon President Mihir Bhai to present memento to Namita. Over to the speakers of the day.
So the program for today is that we have 3 speakers and all 3 of them will be talking for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. Whatever questions you all have already asked, how many of you all have already asked questions in the Google form? Okay, quite a few. So your questions have already been passed ahead. But those who do not who would have questions today, I would request you all to ask all questions at the end to our panelists. And let's begin the session today with CA Siddharth, who's going to talk about international taxation.
Good evening, friends, dignitaries of the dais and my co-speakers on the dais. Everyone has spoken about your excitement when you saw results, right? I would tell you some other aspect of that, because it's not from this particular moment, but right from your childhood. Your parents have been fooling around, because first you were told that just complete your 10th standard, life will be sorted, right? Then came the 12th standard and you were told that just complete this and you will be sorted. Then came graduation and they said everything will be sorted. And then you were told just complete CA and you will be sorted in life, right? Believe me, my friends, every 5 years you will be said this and you will be on the higher pedestal to see another step in life, which will bring much more challenging things to you. But there is always going to be a self-satisfaction that you have achieved something by qualifying something where we are handful in the country and we are respected amongst the professional bodies. But when we see today's era where we have a lot of information which is available, and in that sense, I would say that some of the seniors here sitting here, they have had the privileged times for two reasons. That when they were qualifying and they qualified and they were working in the profession, information was less available and they had seen the evolution, which was over the period of 10, 15, 20 years. Okay, they had seen this entire evaluation. And that's how they could nurture themselves and they saw different phases in life. Today, in this era of technology, even the billionaires can't predict or project next few years for their company's life, what would happen to their product cycle or their company's life cycle. Okay, so we are in an era, young professionals are in an era where your generation is going to change every 5 years. So you need to be much more equipped and updated as against what these people had. But at the same time, what we need to respect and understand is that we have chosen a profession where a particular level of respect will only come with time. Howsoever qualified or well structured your own thought process is, there is always going to be a basic time period which is going to be involved while you grow as a professional. You cannot say, because let's take a simple example. Today, if any of you would, get hurt and you wanted to look for a doctor, what would be your search criteria on Google? I think everyone look at Google for the solutions nowadays. So what would be, you would find an expert in that domain? Would you go to a next door doctor who you would not know and just go and take a treatment? Right? You would not go. Why? Because even as a fresher, you would want someone who's expert in the field to advise you. Now, we are also part of that profession where people come to us because they feel that we are an expert. Right? It's a different thing that nowadays clients are very smart. They search Google, they ask few people on WhatsApp, and then they come to cross-check your knowledge that whether you are advising correct. Right? But when it is said that we are a generation of social media, we need also to be mindful of the fact that whatever we post or whatever we look at or whatever we contribute, it is not taken for granted. Okay, you should be paid or you should be respected for the value addition which you provide to people. Anything which is given free of cost doesn't have its value, right? And this you would experience in your day-to-day life, and you would see, because now it's a marriage season, you're recently qualified, you all are excited to attend marriages, right? Because now it feels a moment of pride that you're qualified, you have done something, achieved, you all would be keen. Earlier, your parents would be saying, come and attend a social gathering. You would say, okay, we have a lot of things to do. And anyone who would see that you have just, or who have known that you have just qualified, would come and ask you one query. Okay. Now, what is the difference? Few weeks back, you were not qualified. At that time, that person would have not asked you a query. Now, the point is that today, you have a tag CA attached to you. That means they feel that you are adequately qualified to answer them. Now, that doesn't mean, though that's an obligation, or that's basically a sense of responsibility we should have, that we should address that in a right manner. But at the same time, always keep one thing in mind, that if you don't know something, you need not answer it. You may always tell them that this is something I need to check and I'll come back to you. Now, while you do this, it may not be earning you money, but the point is, if someone has asked a query to you, you go back, research, and then give an answer, call back that person. It's actually an additional information for you. So next time if someone is asking you that question, you are ready to give that answer and you will be like pro at it. So don't wait that till the time I get something which will give me monetary benefit, or unless it is part of my job, I won't do it. At the same time, be mindful of the fact that just because someone has asked something, you need to be knowing that it's not necessary. My senior partner and my mentor always tells me that knowledge is a perishable thing. So never think that you have achieved everything and you know everything. It's always learning. If after spending 40 years in profession, if they feel that they are learning, then you all know where we stand, right? Now, my topic for discussion is international taxation, but since I am the first one to speak, I'm giving some basic understanding, because when we talk about international taxation, I interact with a lot of youngsters who join our offices, and when we have interactions with them, those who join, and what are their aspirations. So now, right from the day when you want to start interning or doing, want to start your articleship, you look for a specialization, right? And that is where, many people ask that, what do we do to make career in international taxation? The point is, specialization is an event which comes after you clear your basics, or if you have mastered all the aspects of normal subject matter which you should be knowing. And then you get into the specialization where you focus on particular area, you work for a number of years in that particular area, and you master that particular area, right? And it need not be necessary that everyone should have a specialization. There is a good value for generalist as well. So when people ask me, how do we specialize in international taxation? My first point is that before you think about a specialization in a particular subject, let's understand whether we have understood all aspects of basic taxation itself. Have we understood how a transaction works? Because the point is that when you are going to advise someone on a particular aspect, first thing which we want to know, or which you should be understanding, is that what is the underlying base of that transaction, how this happens, how many parties are involved. That's where you will understand the implications of that. And then you would be in a better position to evaluate, analyze, or even advise to someone else. And that is where at some places, this new era where we are exposed to technology has made us little backwards, because we don't get first-hand experience of how the things happen. We read about supply chain, right? How many of you are aware that how many steps are involved when you place an order on Amazon and you get goods delivered to your home? Any guess how many steps would be there? How many checks or balances would be there when an order is placed online on an app and that is getting delivered to your doorstep? Some guess? Don't tell me you don't order online. Huh? So the thing is, when you place an order, okay, first you are interacting with an application which gives you the choice of product based on what you have searched in past and what is your preference. And you place an order, that order is processed. After the payment is made, there is an intermediate involved, and then it goes to the confirmation. That is sent to the warehouse, where warehouse, it will go to the right place where that good is stored. So it is getting sorted. From that warehouse, they will look at the address from where they have to supply and they will take out. Then there is a correspondence which is sent to the logistic partner who will process it. And then logistic partner will get involved. He will pick up, then move it to the shipment. Shipment will be, track all the steps. There will be multiple scanning which will be done so that you get the update. And then it comes to your destination where it is delivered. And then a confirmation is sent that, okay, this transaction is completed. It has been delivered. How many steps? We don't even care, right? Similar is the banking process. How many of you know that when you do a banking transaction, how many layers of approval are required for processing a banking transaction of clearing of check? Yes, this should be a simpler one. How many people, how many approvals are required when your check is processed in a bank? You haven't gone to bank in so many days to process a check, right? Now imagine why I'm asking this question, because if we do not understand the process, how are we going to advise it, structure it, or even audit it? So when you go to a teller counter, earlier old days, you used to fill up a slip, go to a teller counter, they will collect, stamp and give it. That doesn't mean your check is processed. It goes back to a backend manager who punches that data, then it is approved by a authority, either a branch manager or a level before that who will process that. There is an approval. After that, it gets confirmed. In a digital MICR processing, or maybe in the RTGS processing, this is done technologically by matching the ledgers or the approvals, but still there is an approval in place. Now, if you do not know this process and you are auditing a bank, or you are advising a startup entity who wants to do a banking solution, how will you advise? First, you need to understand the transaction flow. So the basic thing for every professional is that understand the background of the business, the background of the transaction which you are looking into, be it from a tax perspective, be it from an audit perspective, be it from a normal advisory perspective. Or at times people may come for something which they may not be aware about. They may say that, okay, we want to do this. Tell us what it requires in terms of processing. In terms of ease of doing business, we have a lot of processes which are set. But what we are not aware about is that how this process is to be completed. And there are many opportunities in these intermediary processes which we lose because we do not know that. And mind you, friends, future will be of those who know implementation. Very small example. Recently, we saw that there was a war between Russia and Ukraine. Any technology, any advanced stage war in future will be through technology. The moment your electricity power is shut, your banking system is shut because you're all online. Right? This is the era which we are going to see down the line. So we need to be prepared basis that what will happen, how do we process? If technology goes off, how do we work? How do we process? Because people will come with you these real life situations. So the point is that we need to understand these nuances, how these things are processed, and then we need to place ourselves at what is our domain expertise. And why I am talking about implementation, because small steps. When we talk about what we do domestically and what we do internationally, when we talk about international taxation, they also do the same thing. They read their domestic law. When you apply a domestic law of any particular country to an international transaction which involves two cross-border entities, that becomes an international transaction. I mean, when we practice international taxation, we don't go outside Income Tax Act and only practice treaties. It is section 459, basic sections of the Income Tax Act which we practice. Then everything revolves around, there are processes. At times you will come to know that we don't even know the provisions which are there in the act which exist because it was not there for 5 marks in examination. And I'll give you my real life example. FEMA was for 5 to 10 marks in our CA curriculum. We used to only study that chart, capital account, current account, permissible, prohibited, right? Only chart to learn under FEMA is that 3. We have so many senior professionals who have been FEMA experts and have made life out of it. It is not only for 5-10 marks. And the day I entered my office, I mean, this is my first place where I started working and I'm continuing. First day at my work, I was the only one sitting at 7 o'clock. My senior partner called a junior partner, send FEMA manual with someone. No one was there. He told me, just take it. It was my first day. I took that book. He didn't know me. So he said, LRS ka regulation nikalo. 10 mark hi aaye pade the apan. We know 3 table, capital account, current account and prohibited transaction. I started looking at the index. He's a senior professional. He said, itna time lagaoge to advice kab dunga? He took up the book, he looked at the FEMA manual, he took it out, he showed. That day, I went back to my seat. I felt bad. First day at your work, you get fired by your senior boss. What impression you give him? Pull index, ratified. What is where? Because 50% of your knowledge lies in knowing where that knowledge is there. Okay, that is your base. You should know where you can extract information from. Be it domestic taxation, international taxation. Because let's say today someone comes and say, okay, UAE tax. What do you have to do? Go to UAE domestic government's website, take out the domestic law and read. But you should know. You can't go Google search UAE tax rate. Google shows 10%, 5%, 9%. Give advice. No. The point is, it's upon for you to understand. There are shortcuts available. There will be KPMG report, PwC report, but how long will you depend on that? Right? At the same time, there are so many smaller things in terms of implementation which you have opportunity on. FATCA. FATCA is one point in international KYC, which is implemented by one country and everyone else is earning from that. You know, internationally, FATCA compliance, what are the charges for filling up one FATCA form? $500. One form. Here 500 rupees may we file one income tax return. So when someone said that don't run behind money, not in this way. Respect the time which you put in and take out. But the point is, FATCA is a very simple classification. You have to read. You have to understand what type of entity it is. You have to go to the UBO declaration and just report it. So if a foreigner can make $500 out of it, go to him, tell him I'll do it for $300, $200 you keep. If you get 1,000 forms, how much have you made? Right? So it is about our right mindset. How do we do it? Internationally, people charge bank account opening $2,000. because they have a longer process and we say India is backward. So we need to understand. Now, when a foreigner comes to India and he wants to open a bank account, you know that you know the SBI branch manager very well because you visit. Nowadays, you don't even visit. So the point is that if someone else can charge for it, you also should be charging for it and create an opportunity there. Implementation and basic level of form filling doesn't mean you are doing a monotonous job. So don't leave it at the beginning of your career. In my 15 years of career in this same firm, I have done overseas incorporation where we used to collect KYC details and set up. But that over the years, I've given an experience. Today, if a client comes, we can tell him this particular country follows this process. He's shocked because he would go and pay thousands of dollars outside, which information you can give. But how will you know unless you fill up the form? So don't shy away from doing basic work. Basic is something which will give you very good money if you are able to master that skill set. Same is international taxation. It's about first understanding your domestic law. If you are expert in that, corroborate company law, GST, all these law come together. Because our law is only corporate law, Munish Bhandari prints director 25 marks, right? We do not read beyond that. We count 40 marks or 50 marks. Indirect taxes, again, summary. We don't look at procedure. But we need to understand there is a lot of money which can be made in compliance. Procedure, you should know. You know how much a senior counsel charged for a bail application for a celebrity? Can someone imagine? Depending on the celebrity, from 50 lakhs to 5 crore. Now, bail application is a standard application. No one reads it. It's only art of you presenting it. Now, imagine this is the same thing which happens. Now, today you have got an opportunity. Earlier, there was barrier in income tax that a junior guy goes and represents to a commissioner. Commissioner takes it on the ego that how can a junior person come and represent? That's the mindset we are in. Doesn't matter. You have your confidence. Go at least try. What will happen? He'll shoo you away once. He'll say, go and speak to my additional commissioner or a deputy commissioner. You will get to know what is the process. But go prepare yourself. Present it. Now we are in an era where we have to make online submissions. That means we have to first understand and write it in a language which the other person can understand. That is where we lack, because what we have done, we have got classes, and now the best tool is that you have got pen drive lectures. Watch it at your convenience. Don't even wait for a teacher to explain it and you ask a cross question and understand your query. We feel, okay, there is 1 hour session where you can send your queries and you get a response. That's where we become passive in interaction. It's okay. Someone will shout at you. They will give you back. You will be embarrassed. It's fine. But that is what is going to teach you that, okay, this is what we are not supposed to do next time. So when you look at profession, taxation, audit, whatever it is, first basic master, have knowledge of everything, then decide what your specialization is. And one of the key things which, looking at this audience, I feel that all are in early or mid 20s, not early 20s, mid 20s, right? Make classification of your age block and decide what you want to do in what phase of life. Everyone else will come and go and tell anything. Ultimately, you are going to stand there to survive for yourself. 27 to 35 or 36. Make the most of it. Do whatever comes your way. Do it. Don't look at it. That is the experience which you will collect, which will build upon from 36 to 45. And believe me, friends, 36 to 45, your risk-taking ability will go down because you will have more responsibilities added to you. How many are second generation CS? Second generation in the new lot. Very good. You don't have pressure, society pressure, that you have to perform better than someone. Then your 36 to 45 is the period where you have to encash and enjoy your life. At the same time, why I'm saying enjoy your life? Because like someone said that, do you remember your first girlfriend, first wife? No, you will remember your CA. Yes, because you compromised everything else for doing CA. While people were celebrating Diwali, you were studying November attempt. People were going on holiday, May attempt. Right? And then you had audit season, tax filing season. There is no season which ends. Right? So you are all the way slogging. That is why we are behind in communication, because we don't get time to interact. So this 27 to 36 and 36 to 45 is time to encash on whatever you want to do, but maintain your right life balance. We young professionals feel the heat of it, that if we are giving too much and not balancing on the health side. We have the best example. Sometime back, a billionaire, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, he said he had 40,000 crores of wealth, but he has 3 unmarried kids. He would have had best of it. But what happened? Could not live. We have to balance that out and make life out of it. We have to make discipline with our life. 9 to 5, 9 to 6. It's not that 9 to 5 is not good enough to work. Believe me, internationally, Singapore, Mauritius, Dubai, wherever you go, people work 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they are out. But in that period, they are glued to their work. They don't look at what is happening on Instagram, what is happening on Twitter, where do I search, is my friend going out there? No, if you are at work, concentrate. After 5, it's your family time, it's your time. So that balance you have to create. And the last point before I hand it over is learn to coexist. Respect your peers. Everything in life, you won't be able to do it alone. If you can't do it, tell your friend that I'll make a reference. Don't undercut your friend. I'll tell you, friends, instances where client goes across professionals, takes competitive quotes and undercuts. Who's the loser? We are the losers. It's for us to respect our time and also our fellow chartered accountants' time, that this thing cannot be done below this level. There can be a premium for expertise which is there that you can't command. That will come only with time. But when it comes to the same level of service, don't undercut for that few thousand, because client is always going to do quote shopping, what we call. And he is going to get best out of it. There have been instances where 2 professionals will be called on a same call, where client will sit and ask them to debate on the query because he wants the best result what he wants. If you have a particular view, you have your view. Someone may differ. There can always be a difference of opinion, accept it. Whether someone wants to take it, he will pay for it. If he doesn't want to take it, you learn from it. But don't compromise on that. With this, friends, I'll hand over the proceedings to Kinnari. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Siddharth. You spoke really very well about the first instance where you were asked to submit some details and find out something about LRS. But let me tell you, why am I so hopeful about the new chartered accountants today? When you joined your firm on the very first day, I'm sure Google was there, but you didn't find the answer on Google, or probably you didn't use Google. But today, not only Google, ChatGPT is there. They will find not only details about LRS, but what are the precedents, what are the Supreme Court judgments, what is the law, what are the updates, everything with a click of a button. And I'm very hopeful the newer generation is going to use artificial intelligence in addition to the intelligence that they already have. So I'm very hopeful about the chartered accountants over here. So now the next presentation is going to be from CA Namita. She's going to talk about startups. So request her to please take the dais. Come over here. Thank you.
Firstly, congratulations, everyone. So firstly, we haven't seen each other's speech or presentation, but all points are common. I mean, everyone is going to tell you the same thing in different language. So takeaway would be same. Yeah, so startup, I mean, you know, everything is about technology now going forward. Chat GPT, artificial intelligence, technology is going to take everyone's job. So you have to keep upskilling yourself, you know, be tech savvy, understand new gadget, just try it out, read a lot. So future is technology, and now whatever is you see around you is technology. So be ready. Like, I'm not sure if you know, there is one New Zealand based company, Zero, XERO. So if you upload any financial document, be it invoice, bank statement, it automatically accounts that transaction in the system. So there won't be any job for the accountants in future. So this is how dynamically everything is changing. So yeah, it is. Oh, okay, sure. So firstly, I would like to share something about my life, just to share what errors I have done in future, just to highlight those. So I started my articleship in 2007. So that time it was an era of VAT, service tax, all the old compliances. In fact, I still remember filling up all the forms manually. You know, there was no online system to upload that. And after 2008, all the forms were automated or system based. So very traditional firm where we were having APMC, market players, you know, garment industry, jewelers, all those things. Then for 3.5 years, we did the articleship. After clearing exam, the obvious choice was to continue there because I was being offered a partnership in the same firm. So I opted for that. Then suddenly in 2015, I met a person who is career columnist in Economic Times. That just happened to be, you know, meeting. So there he offered me a CFO position. So this was 2014, 15. They were raising Series A funding round at that point of time. I met him without an intention. Okay, just to understand what are the career options for me. He writes in Economic Times, so definitely he knows a lot about the industry, career space and all. And then this position came up, I just accepted it. So I am in that category who don't think much about future, you know, even trips. I like adventures. So I just book flights and, you know, just plan. So my husband is exactly opposite of me. So I like that adventure in life. So I never plan anything. And I accepted this. I was there for exactly 12 months and then I quit for some reasons, which I'll tell you later. And then it was life-changing. So after exact 12 months, I started my advisory firm. The initial response was good because I started my advisory firm from Barclays Incubator. Okay, so all the members, so it is like co-working space. If you would have seen any co-working space like WeWork or 91 Springboard. So all the members, 60% of members in that space become my client. So my clientele was very fintech heavy because I happened to start from that space and it was super expensive, that space. I was paying 5 times, it was in Lower Parel. So obviously the premium for the area, and everyone advised me why you are starting, you know, in such a premium space. In fact, I lost clients because when they used to see Lord Parel and Peninsula Business Park, so they said, this is very expensive, let's not go to her. So I lost many clients. I know that story. Yeah. So even people who were referring those clients to me, they said, log bhag jate address dekh ke," that kind of thing. But I'm very grateful I started from that space, and then just things turned out to be amazing. Web3 space, unicorn clients, slowly automation. I learned a lot about coding. How does technology work in the backend? How one should design the process in the system itself. And then now, the stage we are at, we are more into strategy than taxes. I mean, we speak less about the taxation and compliances and all, but more about the business. So one thing for sure, if you want to be good in a particular space, you have to understand the business requirement, how you can impact someone's business, even if it is about the numbers, then how you can help them to increase their PAT or turnover. Your input should be in that perspective. Whatever you suggest to your clients should be about the business and strategy, how they can grow their how they can tweak their business models, or if marketing spendings they are doing, then offline marketing is suitable for them or online. So this you will figure out with time. So this was about it. So 2007 to 2014, it was, I don't know how that would have been different, but that life-changing conversation was very important. And if that would not have happened, then things would have been different as on date. So this mentorship program which BCS has started, you should definitely opt for it. You should have such kind of conversations with people so that you learn from their experiences. And this is very, very important. What will change your life is people around you. So have very good people around you, have quality conversations with them. So this is how you will discover new things, what is happening around you. Okay, so this was about me. So some regrets which I have is I never took any job in outside country. So I till date have that regret. Like I should have worked somewhere outside the country just to know the culture. You become independent, more matured. You know how to, you become more responsible also. I mean, even if you compare the kids, Indian kids versus, other kids, they carry their own passport. They will have their small trolley bag at the airport. So they're very independent. And if we see our parents, in fact, I'm not sure how many of yours passport will be with your mom's locker or dad's, they don't trust, or I'm not sure if they don't feel their kids are matured enough even till 2022. Versus if you see the upbringing of Western cultures, kids, then they're very much independent. They manage that, they are not even cranky, all those things. So these are the small observations. So please travel, go outside the country if you wish, but that is the one regret I have. And second, I never chose any mentor as such, but you should have someone, whom you can go and ask anything you want. So then, so Siddharth asked 3 questions, and first 2 questions, I mean, no one cared to answer that. So this attitude we have seen in general, like people don't answer. So please be interactive, because my next slide is about that. Okay. Okay, so actually Mehir sir's speech is kind of flop, made this slider kind of flop. But what matters the most to you while selecting the career? I want you to answer this in your phone by scanning the QR code. It is too hot. Yeah, faster. And you want to say? No, I'm fine. Oh, that is fine. I'm just breathless.
You want to sit down?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Sure. They cannot hear, no? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Is it better now? Yeah. So we have 140 people, right? Here. If I would have asked this question and asked you to raise hands, then again, I'm sure most of you would not have cared to participate. So this was the question that was asked by that mentor. What matters the most to you, money, autonomy, freedom, or learning? Okay, I took 3 days just to think about it. I thought a lot around this, and that really determined the way ahead for me. Okay, so no answer is right or wrong. Firstly, it is absolutely fine if you want money, because everyone come from a different background. Everyone's journey is different. So there is nothing right or wrong about it, but you should be really, and the answer would change with age. So today money would matter for you, but tomorrow it won't. Okay, so just keep evaluating this. Ask like what you really want in life. So my answer at that point of time was freedom. I don't want to be micromanaged. No one should question me why you did this, that. I want complete decision-making powers. Then I chose that company because there was complete freedom in finance and legal. I know as a CFO, I can do anything I want, because CEO was busy raising funds. So I know he won't be interfering in my area. So I know freedom is the thing which I want. So see, again, out of 140, only 88 people answered. So other people, I assume, don't know how to use QR codes. So startups is not for them. Okay, so yeah, so you should be clear about your need. And obviously, this is a very mature question. This is not the age where you should realize that. And again, like I mentioned, this will change with time. Okay, but be careful, because see, I'll tell you what, why did I quit that job after 12 months? So there was everything I wanted. Good culture, good people around me. I learned a lot about technology. Literally, I used to work Saturdays, Sundays on coding, how the UI UX should look for the system. It was the HR tech product. Money, I never bothered. In fact, I invested my first salary in that company itself. So coincidentally, there was seed round going on because we were raising Series A. So I was sure whatever I'm getting in first month, I'll invest that in the company, which I lost today. Okay, so there is no value for that. So the reason I quit is there was very limited set of people with whom I used to communicate. There were bankers, investors, internal team, that's it. No scope for me to speak to multiple people. So I realized that about myself. I like talking to people, simple. And I quit that company just for that reason. And I know I cannot work for one single product, one single company. I want to be, to be in different space, different like-minded people from whom I can learn things. So that was my insight in that journey. So there was nothing wrong with the company. So you should be careful about what you enjoy in the workplace or in your journey and what you don't like, and then just switch. Okay. So also one more thing, I spent a lot of time in a CA firm, which was very traditional in nature. What I have realized is, in my generation, I would say, people were very happy being in their comfort zone. So this generation really think about very small things a lot. Like, am I really enjoying it? Is there better opportunity in some other company? I don't think me or my friends ever thought about it. It was just life, wherever it is taking, let's go with it. Let's go with the flow. So I really admire that about this generation, and generations are changing in every 4-5 years. So that is really appreciative of you. Just evaluate what you enjoy or what you don't, and that will make you capable to change and shift your career path. And it is not wrong if you take decisions based on that. So just be very careful about it. So like I said, what decides or how you decide what career path to choose. So firstly, just be out of your comfort zone. If your workplace is just 5 minutes walking from your place, so your tendency is, let's join this company because there is no travel, no need to take a cab or go by train. So people really enjoy their comfort zone. Why to go for an interview? Or it is really hot. Sorry. Want to say? No, I want the AC. You don't. I know. Give me on my lap, it's fine. Really sorry for this. These days I feel really hot. Yeah, so people generally tend, I did that during my articleship because it was just 10 minutes from my place. So I preferred that location just because it is closer to my space. Second reason which people consider is subject. So if during your articleship you are in internal audit, then obviously your next choice is internal audit. Or if it is, indirect taxation, then you opt for indirect taxation. So don't do that. Don't let your articleship experience affect your post-qualification job if you want to go in job. Second is glamour. I mean, people want big names or big designation. So that doesn't matter at all, at least in the startups. I would suggest if you want to go to any of the startups, then be a core team member where you interact directly with this CEO or founder. We call them as a founder because you'll be working on each and every segment. Okay, legal, tech, automation, marketing, sales, UI, UX, everything. So don't go behind designations, or you want any, listed companies or big four for that matter. Go where you get maximum exposure, maximum learning. And then again, societal pressure. If your friends are going for XYZ company, then again your choice becomes, let's go with the group. So that also determines, or your parents, they know little about what is happening in the world. For example, my Masi advises my cousin, her son, go for a government job. She doesn't know anything about it because for her generation, people used to give their daughters, to the government employee because that is the safest. So even in 2023, she says government job is the best. That is their mindset, or they don't know. There is nothing wrong with how they think about it, but don't let parental pressure or peer pressure define your journey. And then money comes last in the journey. You will make a lot of money, believe me, if you just be smart, have business prudence. That will give you opportunity, endless opportunity. Because these days, I was also speaking to Meet sir. the entry in any segment is very, very easier if you compare this with the previous generation. Okay, for example, even this reality show, I mean, we never imagined any singer or dancer would get entry into Bollywood. So this reality shows have made that easier, correct? So similarly, with startups or these regulations, you are at par with someone experienced. Even if you are competing with me, for example, who have been in, for 15 years in this space, then also it is just a technology, right? Artificial intelligence or how the crypto transactions work, you will be able to learn that as quick as me. So you'll be at par with the experienced CA, I would say. That will make your entry easier. So reality was, what is reality on ground? World is changing like anything. You'll be obsolete if you don't read, you don't keep up to the speed. And reading against is not just plain reading, you know the implications of it. Okay, so suppose now budget will be coming, one person will just read and understand it, but what will happen on a particular company's stock or how this will affect the economy, that maturity and that prudence is more important. So that you have to develop. Okay, while speaking or while having any conversation with people, you need to have understanding beyond those wordings. So that has become more important these days. Just don't do plain reading of anything. Then qualification versus role. I have seen so many CAs who are not into finance, legal or anything. They're into sales, founders of startups, marketing, doing different thing altogether. So it doesn't matter if you are CA, non-CA. You have seen CFOs who are not CA. So these days, I have an aeronautical engineer friend who is doing coding. So coding is so general. I know many CAs who are into coding. Okay, so there is no, if you are a CA, you have to do this. You can do anything you want. So don't just limit yourself to finance heavy or number heavy jobs or career options. Exactly, yeah. Then short career span. Believe me, if again, the age of retirement will be 45 or 50 in the near future, because young people will take over everything. Even if you see, there are layoffs happening. Okay, I know clients in Deutsche Bank, they are asked to resign at the age of 45, 50 because they can afford young people who are more capable at lower salary. So young people will always take over. And if you don't have that expertise in a particular field, or you don't create that premium for yourself, and that is where brand is coming in, right? Social media and this influencers is all about creating your own brand. So your career is going to be 20, 25 max. Whatever you have to do in that 20, 25 years. So career span, nothing like that, like our dad's generation or parent generation, they used to retire at 60. That is not going to happen anymore. So another question, so that I need not to speak more actually. So this question is basically to, have next conversation. What is your biggest fear to join the startup? Because we read a lot about startups these days. Is it working? So you can write 3 words. What is the definition of success? I'm still struggling with that definition when people say success. Oh, success of a startup. So there is someone with work-life balance who has mentioned time required. If you are in India, you have no work-life balance unless you do something on your own. If you are in employment, there is no work-life balance. Or you have to work for someone who believes in work-life balance. Yeah, so biggest word is risk. I mean, yeah, less than 3% of startups succeed. Succeed meaning you get your salaries, they don't shut down. So there is one segment which is coming up, selling the startups which are not in use, or they run out of money. And I have full bunch of startups who want to sell because XYZ reason. I cannot share that here. Yeah, so risk, completely understand. Even if you are in employment or you run your own advisory firm, one thing for sure which I have done, please support the founders. There will be times if you are in employment, you don't get paid, even for your notice period because they run out of money. Be supportive. I understand there will be obligations on you also. If you are in advisory, there will be times when you have to give free advisory or they won't have money to clear off your bills. Please support the founders because they have sacrificed a lot to start. And like, Sir said, it will come back to you in some or the other form. So you have to support the ecosystem. You might lose. Yes, there is a risk. What I have seen, I'll tell you my observation. All the traditional CAs who are not CAs, companies who are profitable, they pay less than startups. Startups pay me minimum 2x of any other company which is on brick and mortar business pay, because they really respect you. They want to focus on their business so that you can take care of their finances and all, where you handle their finance. Okay. So if they are paying premium or else they are paying you respectfully, then there is no harm if you lose sometimes. So just be grateful that you get to work with the founders who are young, dynamic, and you are contributing to something. So yes, there is a risk, but the exposure that you get, I mean, one of you might be CFO of a startup at this stage. Even your first job, you can not CFO as a designation, but you can be the ultimate finance head for a particular startup. So that is possible. I don't think any other business would trust you with this responsibility. So startup ecosystem is the only world where there would be trust in you. You will get the complete exposure. So yes, there will be uncertainty, risk, and work-life balance. I mean, in India, no one has work-life balance. Like Siddharth mentioned, no holidays, no festives. So don't expect that you have to move outside the country for that. Yeah, so most of the people fear about the uncertainty. It is there. It is part of that. You have to assume. Then the career options. I mean, you can start your own company, own venture, which will be definitely tech company. Any idea, just work it out. You can give 4-5 years of your life to experiment anything, which can be starting your own venture or, trying out different companies or joining any startup. You can be advisor to startups, like not just financial advisory. You can do deal advisory, FEMA. Just start with any kind of advisory. It can also be UI, US. these days there is this user research business, which is more of a logic based. I mean, we get the assignments like this product is viable or not. So we have to test it out. Okay, market really needs something like this or not. So it can be anything. Be just open to accept any kind of assignment. And then joining a startup as an employment. Yes, you will have to work beyond working hours, day, night, carry your laptop even when you are on holidays. But again, that culture is changing, I would say. At the same time, you will get freedom to work from home, virtual offices, some incentives. So that is part of startups. What will you need if you are in this startup space? I mean, tech. You cannot escape tech. You have to keep yourself updated. Then ability to think beyond numbers. We always tend to have everything around numbers. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand other implications of any transaction or how one thing would affect, other business plan. How you can, if you are good with numbers, then how you can improvise on numbers. I mean, how you can contribute to the part that you have to advise client. Then that link can be there, can be related to their lending model or marketing spends. It can be anything. Then problem solving aptitude. This is again very, very important. If you happens to be or you choose practice as your career, and you cannot be this way with your client or startup specifically, is pe to tax bharna hi hai, or you need to have hard copy of invoice. No, you have to find a solution to it. You cannot be rigid. It works this way. There will be times you cannot afford to pay tax. Otherwise, your whole business model will not be viable. You have to tweak it to fit into the tax laws or at least protect your client, but you cannot simply afford to pay taxes at times. Okay, so most of the crypto exchanges are not paying taxes. If they pay tax, then they will, they have to end their game. You have to just see and find a solution around it. You cannot be rigid, like you have to print the invoices. You have to find a solution to it, how you can digitally store it, whatever is required to do. There are many RBI norms where, you have to store the data, KYC data without having the identity attached to it. So all those things you have to evaluate how you are going to solve the problem. So clients won't come to you just to give you, just to ask you what is the impact. They want to understand how you can save them. If there is any cost implications, how you can save them from the impact. Then adaptive. Again, dynamic, you have to be adaptive. It might happen your startup is changing the business model altogether. So you have to understand the implications and just change yourself. And presentation and communication, I mean, we have to understand how to sell yourself. Everyone is a salesperson at the end. You should know the communication skill. Like people join this golf club. That is a business tactic. I mean, I'm not sure how many of them are really passionate about golf as such, but this is how you socially connect. And if you build that connection, it will help you to grow, and communication is the only way to have that. So just to give you an example, how two people connect is language or culture. So if two people happen to be Gujarati, or they speak the same language, Tamil, then they will connect with each other. So language and culture is the factor which connects that. So if you want to speak to tech founder, you have to understand the technology, as simple as that. So like this Airbnb, IKEA has changed a lot about all the Airbnb people, any traveler. Because if you go to any Airbnb around the world, you will find IKEA furniture. So that connection they have built automatically. you feel like home because everywhere you'll see that. That is very impactful. So culture and language, you have to understand that for, connecting with anyone. And then hands-on attitude. At times it will happen that you cannot say this is not in my scope. You will have to do certain things in startups where it is not your role or expectations, but you have to do it. There are not enough resources. So you will have to take up jobs which is not yours, or you are not meant to be for that. But you will learn at the end from everything. So yeah, that's it from my side. Yeah. And really sorry for this heat issue.
Thank you very much, Namita. You mentioned a lot about startups and so passionately that, at times in startups, the CEO is actually the chief everything officer and not the chief executive officer. With this, I would now like to invite our third speaker, Kinnari, who's going to talk about mergers and acquisitions, and which is also a very interesting field. So over to you.
Good evening, winners. We need to have another round of applause for you guys. I think it's a huge milestone. I mean, the feeling that you all must be feeling right now, the congratulation messages, maybe one of your boyfriend or girlfriends finally agreed to your proposal, all the uncle, aunties calling. So I'm sure this feeling must be really amazing. And I remember my times, it's obviously very nostalgic. And, you all should want this feeling to last. Okay, so that's, it's very important for this feeling to last. How many of y'all want this feeling to last? Okay, then you all should join the world of M&A. So, sorry, I just want another round of applause for all the women in this room. It's so nice to see so many girls. Namita, she was finding it so difficult to talk in her position. I actually have broken my leg, sorry, so that's why I'm sitting and talking. And there are so many girls in this room. So, just one thing, sorry, digressing a little bit, but girls, please keep on, don't ever give up. Whatever situation, I have a 9-year-old son, but I haven't ever given up in my career. It was really difficult at times, but the point is you have to kind of keep showing up on a daily basis. Some days will be good, some days will be bad. There will be years you may do well, there will be years you'll do okay, but you have to keep moving on and you will get there. So please don't give up, girls. That's one thing I'm really passionate about, girls growing. So yeah. I think we'll jump to, technical subjects and technical subtopics of M&A. Just one more piece of advice, if I may, and this is, taking something which somebody previously said, I don't recollect, is coat shopping. That, everybody goes coat shopping, the clients. But one thing that freshers do is also coat shopping, or is compensation shopping once they get their offer, right? Offer shopping. And please do not do that, because, the world is very small. Our industry is really small. And, we spoke about integrity, honesty, something like doing this, it's a very small world. You will cross paths with the same set of professionals or the same set of employer again. When you're interested in joining, unless there is a genuine reason, but if you're just getting an offer only so that you can use that offer to get a higher offer somewhere, please don't do it, because in the long run, it is really going to be detrimental. So I just thought of saying this because somebody said fee quote. I was like, you can't do this shopping as well. It's okay. So yeah, M&A sounds very glamorous, right? Honestly, it is to an extent. I've qualified in 2004. I started my transaction advisory or so-called M&A advisory career in 2006. Now, there was this one question with somebody put, and I don't know whether it was in context to M&A, but the question was whether you can move careers. So if you started a particular practice or a particular kind of job, whether you can shift jobs and still do so well. So I started my career in tax. I come from a legacy of my father also being a CA. He had a traditional CA practice. And that's how I kind of started my career as tax. And I realized I cannot do it. I cannot meet officers. I cannot go to those government buildings. I cannot do compliance. I cannot do so much reading. And that's in 2006. I joined Grant Thornton as a fresher in the financial due diligence practice. And that time, obviously, I started as a fresher. Okay. So our times, the salaries used to be 3.5 lakhs for starters, for freshers. And all my friends, were already at 6, 7 by then because they had completed 2 years. But I still decided, no, that's fine. I will start with this because this is sounding to be exciting to me. I started it and I got a double promotion within a period of 6 months. And I got back to, everybody's levels amongst my peers, and then have never looked back. So somebody had a question here that should you move careers if you think, everybody thinks, oh my God, I will not get a jump, or I may have to take, I may have to take a salary cut. It is all fine. Your career is a marathon. Please think of it long term. You will eventually do well if you're going to be good and you're going to love what you're doing. So don't think of what did I do during my articles? I'm already at this level. How can I change jobs now? Don't be restrictive in your thinking. Do what you think you're good at and do what you think you will progress in, because ultimately you will. Maybe you could be lacking by 1 year or 2 years, but that really won't matter in the long run because it is a marathon. It is a really long-term vision that you should be thinking of, and not a 1 or 2 year or a 3 year thing. Don't get into competition as to how much my friend is getting or which firm he is or what profile he is in. It doesn't work. Now, yeah, basically this was just one thing on BCAS, but how do it's not happening page down. It's not happening. Oh, that one, sorry. So, all of us have heard various terms you all may have heard, right? P, VC, M&A, valuation, DD, investment banking. So I'll just break it down into very, very simple, simple explanations for each of these. And, which are the ones where it is likely for you guys at this stage to kind of start off with. So due diligence, and that's, my area of expertise, as I call it, is according to me, and for me, it is one of the most interesting profiles because the number of businesses that you get to learn or the understanding of businesses that you have in a very short time is phenomenal. And I don't know how many other careers in our kind of practice gives us this. So, for example, a DD or a FDD, it's called financial due diligence mandate, say last for a month. Say, 1 month you kind of give your report, your deliverable. In that 1 month, you're learning one business. And as you move up the ladder, you are kind of managing various jobs, which means you're learning 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 businesses at a time. And not just businesses, you are actually discussing, dealing, and meeting with various CEOs, CFOs of those companies. So it includes understanding of businesses of various industries. It includes talking and meeting with C-suite people. And, that experience of networking and meeting and learning from them is phenomenal. You will never, get those learnings from a book, hypothetically. On the other side, you are also dealing with investors, right? Investors are the PE and VC community. So basically, the way it works is there is the private equity and venture capital world, which is called the investor community. this community is basically looking, their mandate is to deploy funds to companies. Every fund will have different kind of philosophies. One may want to do startups, one wants to do, say, a particular sector, food and agri, one wants to do financial services, one wants to do, so they will have their different kind of ticket sizes. There will be large funds whose ticket sizes of funds would be really large, like north of $100+ million. Some would be even doing just $1 million. So depending on that, that's the clientele. So these are my clients, in an FDD profile, these would be your clients. And then there is a concept called as a target company, which means that is the company in which they are investing. Now, the only thing, FDD, there wasn't a subject, right, in our curriculum, but FDD is basically just a combination of basic common sense and your basic accounting skills. That's it. There is no other skill that is required to start in a FDD profile. The best suitors to do FDD and, companies kind of look at candidates who have done statutory audit in their articleship as the most preferred profile to kind of, join FDD. So today, when I get CVs, I would prefer seeing a stat audit. Not that I would not look at tax. Somebody took me since I had a tax in my CV. So, I definitely look at all kind of CVs. When I joined GT, they saw my tax background and still took me in, though at a fresher salary, but never mind. Statutory audit is preferred, and because statutory audit skills are required for FDD, in some sense, it overlaps slightly. Now, what is FDD exactly? So FDD is everything that you do in statutory audit in terms of every item of the financial statement, of the income statement and balance sheet, everything that we do in terms of revenue recognition, revenue completion, cutoff procedures, all of that we do, but we do much more. Now let me ask you a question. There is a company A whose revenue has increased, say, from 1,000 to 2,000. There is a company B whose revenue has increased from 1,000 to 1,500. Which company has done better? Can't hear. Depends on. Oh, let's ask. So, yeah. Like. Okay. That's a good answer. Yeah, but right now I'm only talking about revenue. I'm not talking about margins. Right. So the way I would look at it is that company B actually has done better because company A has moved from 1,000 to 2,000 only because their selling price of the product they are selling has increased. They are selling 1,000 tons. They are still selling 1,000 tons. They have not grown in volume. Only their selling price increased, because of which their sales value increased. Company B, on the other hand, the selling price probably decreased, but they could sell more volume. So company B actually is being able to sell more and their demand of their products is more. Company A is not doing anything. I mean, their volumes have not increased. Their demand has not increased. Their sales are just increasing only because their selling price has increased. So these are things which, a diligence brings out, basically the quality of earnings. So, when you're comparing a company or a company B, or when you're analyzing one company, what is the quality of their sales or their margins or their EBITDA? 1 year, a company has a major windfall gain because of, say, one particular trade, or say foreign exchange. The company is into exports. The foreign exchange increased a lot. The US dollar went up. The company did very well. But that is not sustainable, right? Your dollar rate will kind of normalize. So the idea is to tell the investor how sustainable the company will be from a revenue and a margin perspective going forward. So it is studying the historicals from an audit perspective and from an analytical perspective, and telling the investor that, the company is, if the company is showing 100 revenue, we think the revenue is not 100, it may be 80. If the EBITDA is 50, it is not 50, it may be 20. So these are things which we do in our diligence, wherein we go through each and every line item of the financial statement in depth, From an audit perspective, also everything that we do in stat audit, whether it's revenue recognition, accounting standards, vouching, your checks in the bank, GST recos, all of that, but much more than that. It is understanding the numbers through the business. It is not understanding numbers in isolation. So you have to understand the numbers with the business. It's numbers and business together. It's never either of it in isolation. So diligence, like I said, is for people who like analysis, numbers, understanding businesses, and communication, because you have to do a lot of communication with the target company in which the investment is going. You will have to do a lot of communication and talking with the client, which is the investor. And because you're going to be working in teams, FDD is always a very, it's a very team-driven exercise. So your interpersonal skills in terms of, how you kind of work in a team are also going to be very important. Another question I had on FDD was, so it's basically quality of earnings, quality of assets, and your quality of debt. So it is a lot of analysis. It's basically getting into the investor's shoes. So, you have to think of the investor's money as your money and think that whether I will invest in this company or not. What will I think, or what will I do if I have to invest in this company? And, every month, if you're in a diligence profile as a fresher, if a diligence lasts for 4 months, every month you're working on a new job. So say you're working in a steel industry, next month you'll be doing a startup where the KPIs of the company, the business indicators, the performance indicators will be completely different, right? A startup is burning money. The only indicators you have to see is traction, the way the GMV is growing. In a traditional steel company, you have to see, how the fixed assets have grown, how the revenue has grown, how the gross margins are growing. Are they able to pass on their raw material price increase to the selling price? So, that change in mindset and that change in thought on, from moving from understanding one business to another, you will have to adapt very well. So the learning curve in terms of understanding businesses is very, very strong in FDD. You will be able to talk about different businesses in a very short period of time. Some of the, some of the things which you all should access and read if you all are interested in a profile like FDD is, and I don't know how many of you all do, but you all should be doing by now. If you all don't, Economic Times, you all have to start reading on a daily basis. There is something called as deal trackers, which I think GT, EY, all of them have, which basically is a consolidation of all the deals. They bifurcate, the deals that are happening and are completed on a monthly basis. Then there is a website called as vccircle.com, which again talks and gives you a full summary of all the deals that have taken place. Venture Intelligence will give you a summary of all the firms which are in this business of M&A and transactions. Have I missed anything? No. So FDD, basically the way it is, it lasts for 4 weeks. 1 week you basically is called the field visit, where you go to the company's site, you collect all the information, you do discussions with the accounting team, with the CEO, CFO, you collate all the information. You come back to your office, and that's when you kind of start analyzing and crunching. There are 2 kinds of deliverables. One is called a data book and one is called a report. So data book is a full-blown Excel deliverable. Excel skills are the most important in all of these profiles. So I would strongly recommend Excel YouTube tutorials, Excel model, Excel if the CA Institute is conducting anything, or from your friends. In fact, this will be one of your interview questions on how good is your Excel skills, and they're not going to believe you. They're going to make you do a test. So there will be an Excel test which will be conducted in most of these profiles. And by good, it actually means that, not using the keyboard, actually using shortcuts. So that's the kind of Excel skills you all will have to be kind of, you all will have to get your hands dirty on in such, and it will happen on the job. I'm not trying to say that you all have to know everything before. Everything you all will learn on the job, because most learning, according to me and my experience, always happens on the job. How many every tutorials you see or how many ever sessions you do, it will all happen on the job. But I'm just saying that it is a very important skill set. Sorry, so coming back to diligence, it's basically a combination of a field visit where you go to the company, you come back, there is an Excel deliverable, there is a report deliverable, where the main sections are commenting on every item of the financial statements and basically telling the investor that this is the company's sustainable revenue or EBITDA. So that in short is basically FDD. Any questions on FDD? Then I can move on to other two. Okay, sure. Coming back to valuation, valuation is more of a desk job. There will be calls with the company, with for who you're doing the valuation, but those are limited calls. There's limited communication. It's mainly a desk job where you're again working with very detailed Excel spreadsheets. There are projections. So valuation is about the future, right? So there are projections which are given by the company. Here also there is a lot of business sense and business learning and business understanding of various industries that happens. So FDD and valuation both give you an equal exposure to understanding different businesses. Only thing is valuation is more like a desk job. It involves primarily Excel, very little on communication, and it's not about accounting or audit over there. So in fact, people who want to get into valuations and additional, like I know a lot of people who pursue CFA when they want to do valuation, because there is a lot of financial knowledge which our curriculum, the CA curriculum, did not kind of touch base. So the CFA covers that quite a lot in detail in terms of the technicalities. So whoever wants to do valuation, CFA is an extremely good degree to have if that's the path. Valuation, like I said, there are different kinds. Valuations are used for M&A, for investments also. You also require valuations for accounting purposes. So every fund, every private equity fund and VC fund has to, do their fund valuation also, because a fund also has to report to their ultimate funds, right, as to how their portfolio is doing. So there are accounting related valuations also. And then there are valuations which are related to transactions also. So there are two kinds of valuations. So these accounting valuations are more like your retainer kind of jobs, which keep coming. And transaction based is when there is a transaction, whether it is a M&A or private equity, that's when these valuation jobs come. So that's on valuation and due diligence, which are the two main, I would say, transaction support services which the accounting fraternity does. The big six firms obviously do, but there are a lot of other boutique firms also which provide these services. So in transaction advisory, these are the two services. There is background checks also, but that comes a little bit in the forensic kind of space also, where you're doing investigation or background checks on the promoter and the company before the investment is happening. But that kind of is kind of it basically is a part of forensic as well. Then let's come to investment banking, right? I mean, that's the most so-called glamorous profile, bankers, as they call them. So investment banking is basically when you're getting two people married or two people engaged. Okay, married if it is an acquisition, I would say, because then you are together forever. And, engaged if it is just a short-term investment and you exit after some years. So you can say you get engaged. So, so there are two types, right? A corporate, like an industry, say a Reliance or a Tata, has an M&A team. So that M&A team basically, if at all you want to join an industry M&A team, the job profile there would be that whatever that company is acquiring, to be a part of that transaction. And to be a part of that transaction would mean, supporting that transaction either in, basic groundwork of that target company. There is a lot of documentation involved when there is a transaction that is on. So that is basically being in the M&A team. But over there, I don't know if the word is disadvantage, but your exposure is limited to that industry in which that company is. So suppose, for example, you join, say, Reliance Retail. They would do acquisitions only in the retail space, right? So your exposure will be restricted to one particular industry if you're joining a corporate M&A team. Whereas in a consulting in a big 6 or a big 8 or a big 10 firm, because the PE and VC clients are across industries, and you're in a consulting kind of a role, your exposure to industries will be kind of, as in it won't be agnostic, it'll be agnostic, that you'll get exposure to various sectors. So that's the difference between an industry M&A team and joining a consulting advisory transaction team. Now, besides transaction advisory, so transaction advisory is valuations and due diligence primarily. Then there is an investment banking role in the big accounting firms. And then there are these boutique banking firms also, right? Like Avendis, there is Candle Partners, all of those kinds, Goldman Sachs. Their job is basically to get two people together. So either they have a buy side mandate or a sell side mandate, which means that today I am a buyer, I am a company, I go to Avendis or a PwC and I say that these are the kind of companies I want to acquire. So as PwC or as any company, I will go and find targets in that space. So the idea, when there's a buy side mandate, I will go and find those companies because I have a buy side mandate. Then there's something called as a sell side mandate. That is when a company will come to you and say that I want to be sold because for whatever reasons. So that is when you are finding suitable suitors for them for investment or for sale. So that's called a sell side mandate. So there is buy side and sell side in investment banking. And over there, the primary role of CAs or of people till the mid-level is preparation of an information memorandum and a financial model. So there are two kinds of deliverables which are expected from you if you want to join an IB role. An information memorandum is basically a detailed corporate presentation trying to say why the company, what is good in the company that it should be sold and should attract investment. And then there is a business model which is similar to valuation in the sense it's a very detailed projections of the company. It's a financial model basically. Again, if you are interested in valuation or in IB, financial modeling courses and going to YouTubes and seeing financial modeling is extremely important. So that is investment banking, where your fees or where the fees of consulting firms are fully dependent on the closure of the transaction and the consummation of the transaction. If the transaction does not happen, you get very, very less fee for the preparation of those deliverables. So those bonuses that, you all must have heard of, 50%, 80%, 100% of CTCs in the banking roles are dependent on the closure of these transactions if they happen in these banking roles, because you get 1% or 2% or 3% of the fee. So suppose if the transaction size was 1,000 crores, then the company who has the mandate would directly get 3% of that. So those are the kind of fees that you get or a firm gets in a banking kind of practice. But as freshers until the manager level, the profile is mainly preparation of information memorandum and financial model. And as you grow up the ladder, it will be more of you trying to find those suitable companies to get that other company married. So that is called deal sourcing, which happens later in the career. In all these profiles, and as I think everyone's already mentioned, networking is extremely important. You have to be connected to everybody in the industry. More importantly, reading all this, knowing knowledge of VC Circle, Economic Times, knowing what is happening in the market. Another thing is reading annual reports. That's what I did early on. If you read annual reports and you read transcripts, analyst transcripts of listed companies, they give a very detailed analysis of each company. And that will give you a very good understanding of how these reports are made. In fact, these reports are very important if you want to join an equity research kind of profile also. So transcripts of analyst reports and reading annual reports of listed companies are very important sources when you want to get into such profiles. Once the investment is done, there are a lot of companies which are even given mandates to do something called as an asset management. Asset management is nothing but making sure that the company in which that investor has invested is complying with all taxes, compliances, whether the money, see, the investor is putting in money for a particular cause, right? For a particular reason, whether that money is going in the right direction. So that is called as asset management, wherein after the transaction, you are appointed to see whether everything is going on right in the company. This is on behalf of the investor. So these are the main four kind of, I would say, breakdowns of the kind of profiles you can get into at this stage. It's called transaction advisory, which is FDD valuation. There is investment banking, which is, like I said, getting two people together. And then there is post-investment, which is basically asset management, where you have to take care of the portfolio company in which the investor has invested. And there is corporate, there is private, there is or consulting firms, there are Ps, VCs, though Ps and VCs don't look at freshers directly, as far as I know. But consulting firms are a good way to start. And after that, I have seen a lot of my colleagues and peers moving on and joining a fund to kind of, have their long-term career goals. So yeah, I think most of this we have discussed, but only thing is in fundraising, there's something called as a debt syndication also. So that is when, this all I was speaking right now was for equity, but there's something called as a debt syndication wherein you're trying to help a company raise funds through a bank. So those kind of profiles also are called as banking profiles itself. Like I said, there can be a sell side mandate or a buy side mandate. There are various kind of diligences: financial, tax, legal, business, commercial. When you are on a diligence profile, you will be actually dealing with all the advisors on all these diligences also for your own deliverable. So your exposure is actually going to be limited to, it's not going to be limited to just just your client and the company. The exposure is wide. You're going to get to talk to other firms into other various services also. So you get to learn a lot about other kind of professions also in a diligence profile. Financial modeling we discussed, it's mainly required for in a banking role and for valuations. Valuations, like I said, can be transaction driven. It can be even for various other purposes. Now we have ESOP valuation, we have brand valuation, we have TP related valuations. FEMA requires some valuations, income tax requires valuations. So valuations has a compliance requirement also, and then there is a transaction kind of requirement also. So I think these are, most of this we've covered in terms of discussion. I'll just kind of see if there is anything else that I may have missed. In a banking role, negotiation skills and convincing skills are very important. In a FDD role, written communication and report writing skills are very important. Somebody asked, I think, some of the firms which, offer this besides the big six. So there is Acquisery where I head, there is Mazars, Radisson, KNAV, Transaction Square, RBSA Advisors, FTI Consulting, and a lot more other firms also which do transaction advisory and banking. So yes. Yeah, I think I've tried to kind of cover each area. I'm happy if you want any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was quite an insightful session. So can we have all the speakers on the dais now? We can take one question or maximum 2 questions per speaker. So who would like to go for a question? Anyone has any questions? If there's anyone who would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. Yes, please. Just a minute, just a minute. You'll get the mic. Please go ahead. Ask a question. To whom is it?
It's to Namita, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask, what is the correct time to start a business? Like in this initial years, should we go for a business or for a job?
Who's going next? Oh, anyone else has a question?
Okay, so firstly, before getting into startups, no sir, no ma'am, you have to call by first name, just Namita. So business you can start anytime. I mean, now is the right time because so see, if you will be spending like 10-15 lakhs in a good MBA course, I would suggest just start your own business and burn that 10-15 lakhs. You'll learn a lot more than what management schools will teach you. Okay, so anytime is good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please, from the audience? Generally, it is said that if you don't ask questions, there are 2 options. One is either you understood everything or you understood nothing. So I think I'll go with the first observation. Okay, we have a question. Yeah.
Hello. My question is to Namita. I have 2 startup plans and already the plan is prepared. So can you help me for the funding?
That's fine.
Grabbing the opportunity, you see.
Yeah, I'll get the sweat equity first and then I'll do.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, please? BCS provides such a platform, where you can ask questions directly to your mentors. You can approach the best of the best people from the industry, and it is a very good networking platform. All 3 of them unanimously, this is one thing that I observed, all 3 of them insisted that you need to meet people who are from the profession. You need to meet people who are chartered accountants in your industry, in your field. So I think the emphasis for meeting people is extremely high, and networking is extremely important in today's day and age. And for that, I would suggest all of you all to stay connected with BCS as much as you can, or not just BCS, all other professional platforms, and more so BCS. So, any other questions? Yes, please. 2 more. First to the lady and then to the gentleman behind.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sakshi Chopshi. My question is to Siddharth. So there is an international tax course in Vienna. So is it required to be done for starting a practice in international tax, or is it okay if you do the institute course which we have on international tax?
So the international tax course which you're talking about in Vienna is a LLM. And basically that would be advisable provided you first take some hands-on experience, understand the basic nuances of what treaties are, how the conventions are. For that, there are 2 courses. Institute has that diploma in international tax program, which is there, which is a institute run program. That is one of the good program. Even Bombay Chartered Accountant Society runs a DTAA course, which is a long duration course.
I've already enrolled and it's going on.
Yeah. So that Chamber of Tax Consultant, other professional bodies also do it. Institute's course or advanced diploma in international taxation, basically when you have some experience, some basic knowledge, and then you do this, it will add value to your overall profession. If you directly go and do it, it will be theoretical. You will do it if you want to pursue academics. Let's say you have decided that you want to pursue academics and get into doctoral thesis analysis, then you can directly go for that. But I believe first, if you understand how practically it is applied and then go for it, it would be much better.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thanks. Thank you so much. One last question.
So my question would be to all 3 of you that while we
learned about many courses and many opportunities, but traditional chartered accountant like doing audit, taxation, compliance, and reporting and certification. And on the other side, there is finance field where like many of us does not have any experience during our articleship or during our course of chartered accountancy as well. So is it a prudent decision to continue with like to enter into finance field and to leave behind the field of traditional chartered accountancy? So what would be your each one of your answer?
Getting maximum value from one question.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I think I already mentioned that there is no restriction, and at this stage or at any stage in your life, you should not ever think as to what you cannot do. Anything, and after, and especially on a day like today, where you'll have come here to get felicitated for the one of the highest degrees in the country. So there is nothing that is not possible. There is nothing in the past because of which you had some experience and now you will not get that exposure. It could be slow. You may take time sometimes, but you have to. And like I said, I had given you my example where I moved from tax to FDD and I started at a base salary. So do not ever think that, you know, your articleship or your number of attempts or your non-Big Four or anything will come in the way of your career. You will do and can do as much and even better than your, you know, whoever you're comparing yourself to. So yeah.
Thank you.
So the other perspective to that is that first you have to identify what is your comfort zone. See, it's not necessary that everyone will do only a specific segment. Everyone is not going to specialize. You see what is your capability. That is also important. Everyone cannot be a good leader. There are good team members also. And a team comprises of people, because if everyone is going and selling, who will do the work? Okay. There are people who can be good executionists. There can be team members who cannot be the front-ending person, but they can execute well at back end. They can connect well. So you need to see where you fit yourself in. If you feel that you are good for a traditional practice and you are content with it, go for it. Don't think that finance guy will earn more. He has got a car before you have gotten. It's okay. We have seen people landing in Tihar jail as well, right? With the pace they have progressed. So it's not about the pace who goes first. The point is, what is your territory? What is your domain? You like finance more, you're passionate about finance, go for it. Don't think about a normal practice. If you are not sure what you should be doing, learn at the basic ground level, do multiple things. That will, after a few years, you will get clarity that, okay, this is something which I want to do more. So it's, I mean, there is no right answer for that, but apply first, think what you like, then you should go about it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for first 4-5 years, you can experiment anything you want. Try different geography like Goa. Try working in Goa. Try different industry, insurance, pharma, education, different companies, startups, big corporates, you know, multinationals, and give good 4-5 years so that you'll know what you enjoy. And over long term, that will definitely give you, you know, what you will feel. I have lost X amount of money or X years of your life. Nothing like that. Just go and explore.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So with this, we end our session for asking questions, and I would request our chairman, Narayan sir, the ones who don't know him, he's like the rock star of the CA industry. So I would request him to please give the photo frames with, to all our speaking. Sure. We have CA Sagar Talreja, who's going to talk about the youth residential refresher course.
2 minutes. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. So firstly, congratulations to all of you for passing as chartered accountants. I'm CA Sagar Talreja, and one big announcement for all of you all is that this year we're having another big event from the BCAS, which is the 10th YRRC. the Youth Residential Refresher Course is going to be held from 17th to 19th March for qualified young CAs like all of you. And yeah, so the event is going to be held at Novotel Imagica. And for many of y'all who have put in so many hours of hard work and all, this event is going to be an event which is not just going to be having speaker sessions, but also fun events. And the banners are going to be shared with all of y'all in relation to it. And some of the sessions which we are going to have is what we spoke about right now with some of the speakers, that we have startup events. We have events in branding, then also deglobalization, and also in relation to the latest opportunities available for CAs. So this is the 10th edition of YRRC. We are making it bigger and better than ever. It's open to all of you CAs as well as your friends who are from other professions. So please take advantage of this. It is the like earlier we had it online, and this time it's going to be physical, and we have a great deal for all of you. Thank you so much.
Sagar, forgot to add that it is only below 35 years of age.
Yeah. So all 35 years, young people, okay, and younger. So all of you all can attend, and those who are older, we are having other events also from BCS. So please take advantage of this opportunity. It's the first time you're having it in such a big venue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sagar, and thank you, Vivek. We have this concept of instantly gratifying. So we instantly give a photograph to the speaker, the photograph which is clicked here actually. So the first photograph, it is to Kinnari. I'll request my convener Preeti to come here. She has been coordinating with Kinnari actually, you know, so. Manmohanji to Siddharth. And my third comment to Namita. Some data published by the institute said that we are 360,000 chartered accountants till now, from 1949 till date. You add another 50,000 who have passed and not taken membership, or who are in the Gulf, like we have 18,000 people in the Gulf who have not taken membership or given away members. You translate into 138 crores population. So we are 3 for 10,000. And we are the most minimum among professionals. Forget the company secretary and the cost accountancy, because those institutes came much later, 80 and 86. You know, they came much after our institute came. The only institute which is lesser professionals than us is the Actuary Institute. They are still to cross 10,000 because the exam was to be held in London earlier and now in India. So be proud and ensure that you're a chartered accountant. Write CA against your name. When I was speaking, I spoke CA at least 16 times when I was addressing people here. How doctor does not write anything, though you cannot read what he writes. But he will always write the word DR before his name. So once you get your membership, don't try starting tomorrow, because you're not a member as yet. But once you become a member, please be very, very happy to write CA and interact. I'll tell you one thing. Is this being recorded or no?
Yeah.
A very thin difference between a chartered accountant and an MBA. Chartered accountants, MBAs, relatively to a chartered accountant, his thought process of understanding is pretty low compared to a chartered accountant. But when he goes for a presentation and presentation skills, how Namita mentioned, you know, he can sell 25 crore ka issue बेच सकता है आराम से जाके उधर, है ना? Chartered account is different, you know. She asked two questions. Nobody answered any question actually, you know. Even Siddharth asked 2 questions. Nobody answered. शर्माने का नहीं, क्या होगा? अभी इंस्टीट्यूट सर्टिफिकेट वापस लेने वाला नहीं है ना. और प्रिंसिपल क्या बोलेगा उसको जाने दो किधर भी यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? आपका स्टाइपेंड क्लियर हो गया, फॉर्म हो गया ना, ऑनलाइन बाय बाय. सो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का प्रॉब्लम क्या है? ही हैज crores worth of wisdom and all, but he can't present.
So get into the skills. We have this presentation skills course, which is starting from this Friday. It's 2 weekends. You should attend it. I started speaking after attending this course 25 years. So ऐसा नहीं है कि everybody is born with that talent and all. लेकिन how do you beat other professionals? Is how you speak. How all the 3 people said कि connect करो, basic से चालू करो और ऊपर आगे बढ़ो. In India, we have almost 1.5 crore cricketers trying to vie for the national team. खाली 11 ही होते हैं ना, या 5 एक्स्ट्रा पकड़ लो जो 16 में बैठते हैं वो, उसके बाद तो नहीं होते हैं ना वो की, लेकिन बाकी लोग सब जगह खेलते हैं ना, ऐसा तो नहीं कि नहीं खेलते. So you vie for the top, but start from the basics. Chalo, that's all. Anybody else? Now what do? We cut the cake. Eh? We have a VOT. You have to speak something?
Just one point for them. Last point is that as financial professionals, what we are always taught is we are too analytical. We evaluate everything before we take decision. We keep evaluating. Like even for stock markets, we think this is going to happen. We evaluate while the profit making opportunity is gone. This is the biggest drawback with chartered accountants. We think so many times. Be open to take risk in this age. Take risk. You will fail at the most. And second thing is accept failure. How many people have qualified in first attempt? Right? Now, these people are very good because they've qualified, but at the same time, they have not tasted the flavor of failure. I am a product till CA final, first attempt all throughout, CA, CS simultaneously. CA final took 4 attempts, one group, only one group. I have seen 199 with 59 and 39 as well. Fought with institute, filed case, CIC to get the papers, because now papers are available. At that time, remarking was also not available. Within 7 days, my remarking answer came. And I could trace it down that the day I sent it and next day my response was sent. So what was the time? Time has changed, but take risk. So it is somewhere you have to start and accept failure. It is okay to fail. You will again stand up. But just because you're going to fail, you're not going to take chances. That's something very risky in life, because you are still to spend a lot of life. And if you fail early in life, you will excel, because then you know the worst, what is going to happen. If you're always on the top cadre, you know what is success. You can't adjust in medium. Okay. What happens if your life puts you there? So this is one thing which you should keep in mind, and more so because now you have got lot many things on a platter. Some people would have struggled till here, but if you would have got everything on platter, then you feel that it is very easy for you to move on. It's not that easy, because if you come back to zero, you should be stable. And that is where, I hear sometimes there was, in my, the place where I did CA, a young chartered accountant student committed a suicide in between examination because his paper did not go well. Now, it's just 6 months. Your life is more important than that. So these kind of decisions, when you go in profession, do not take, because accept failure. That is the major part which you should learn, that accepting failure is not getting down in life. You can again start and you can do something else.
Yes, stands for come again, 6 months.
I would like to invite CA Amit Saraf to propose a vote of thanks.
So hi everyone. I have the pleasurable task of offering the vote of thanks today. I'd start off with thanking our 3 learned speakers who have had delivered a great session. So huge round of applause for them. I'd also like to thank the OBs, the chairman, the conveners, the coordinators, the back support staff, and last but not the least, I would like to thank all of you for having come today and made this a grand success. So huge round of applause for you too. Next, I'll cover some forthcoming events of the BCS. There's a public lecture meeting on the budget that's happening on the 7th of Feb at Yogi Sabhagrah. So it's free for all. Please do come. hot topic chat GPT, an opportunity or a threat to professionals. It's a virtual session by the technology committee on 18th Feb. So please do look out. And as Sagar said, the 10th YRRC is happening on the 17th, 18th, 19th of March. I'd like to take 2 minutes on this. I was a participant in the first YRRC. I progressed as a volunteer, a coordinator, a committee member, a convener, and right now a managing committee member with the BCS. So I would urge all of you to first take membership of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society and just put yourself in. It's very nice to be a part. You get to interact with seniors in the profession and develop yourself as a professional. Work is everything that you do on a daily basis, but this is something that you should be part of. So I would like to urge all of you to take membership of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society right away. There's no right time for it. Yeah, with that, I think we're done with what we are supposed to do. Next is the felicitation. So like we do in the airlines, first rows first. We'll make a queue in this and you exit this way. Okay, so we'll start making queues, I think. Oh, so sorry. Cake cutting. Can't say no to cakes, right? So thank you once again.
Today we have no rank holders. What the two who scored only 4? Exact 400. Anybody who has scored exact 400? Come. What the maximum numbers of marks? Anybody idea? 600 come. I need to avoid your lowest mark. Come.
Any two can volunteer. Please come ahead. Any two guys? So for the ones who are sitting and can't see what's written on the cake, it's written as achievers. So this is to celebrate your success. Even on the memento, it's written achievers. In the meanwhile, I would request all of you all to interact with people who you don't know. मतलब जिसको जानते हो उनके साथ interact करना ही करना, लेकिन जिनको नहीं जानते ऐसे 5 नए दोस्त बना के जाना आज यहाँ से. Meet at least 5 new people. हाँ सर, रोटेशनल बेसिस पे. Guys, clap for yourselves. This is to celebrate your success.
Take small piece.
बोला हाँ ना उसने
The ones who are standing.
सर स्टार्ट करो नारायण सर स्टार्ट करो
So till the time all arrangements are made for giving up the mementos to you all, I suggest all of you all to please share your LinkedIn profiles with the people around you and please stay connected with them even after leaving from here. Let's begin.
Yeah. Front rows, start first. The photographs and the feedback links will directly be sent to you on WhatsApp. And the presentations as well. I'll request everyone, if you get your memento, please use the other aisle to step outside, please. तो बोलना पड़ेगा वो